Today, we're going to talk about the Web3 Summit. We've got some more information that's come out, and a big original Polkadot player leaves the ecosystem. But first, we're going to say hello to our regular guest and a new one who regionally actually is probably one of the inspirations for doing this, Florentina. Welcome, and welcome, Lima and Flipchan.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We finally got a good time zone that suits you. So, all right, I think let's just dive straight in, everybody. Should we get the Moonbeam one out of the way, and then we can sort of go on to like the more bullish stuff? So, for those who are unaware, you must have been living under a rock. But Moonbeam, who probably was like, I think, up there with Akala, what was probably the most hyped parachain leading into the parachains launching on Polkadot many moons ago. The Moon River run, I remember specifically, was like mega bullish. It was like everybody was like following the Moon River like token launch, and like a lot of people made a lot of cash on that. But they were the OG like sort of EVM chain inside the ecosystem. They probably were like the main sort of hub of activity for a really long time, to be honest. And they've kind of dabbled, I think, a little bit with like their allegiances over the journey. Sort of like, I know probably 2 years ago when I was in Hong Kong, there was an event that they were talking about getting closer to the Ethereum ecosystem. And they had some sort of like additional node infra that they were doing, which was also Ethereum adjacent. But officially this week reported that they are moving to Base. Thoughts, reactions, feelings, and emotions from the panel.
Yeah. So allegedly, the original Moonbeam team, most of them have either left or have taken a step back, let's say. So there's like new board members, stuff like that, who have kind of spearheaded this decision, let's say. It's not the first time this has happened. If you remember Kilt, the original team bounced and then new people took over and moved it to Base as well. I would say that there's a couple of things that I'm a bit cheesed off about. I'd say that the deadline is, to keep it PG, not well advised. I believe that deadline for migration is there so that as many people as possible won't know to bridge their tokens and then will be stuck on the Moonbeam parachain. I had a similar thought about, I believe it was like Centrifuge and stuff previously, where it was like that deadline seems a bit too short notice. It also messes up the current wormhole integration with Polkadot, which impacts hydration a little bit currently. I think there's like $14 million worth of assets that both the protocol of hydration and users hold, which is a bit of a nightmare. Yeah, just generally, I think that this is basically like a speculation play, and I wouldn't say it was bullish if I was a Glimmer holder. And yeah, just the lack of notice. I believe like the hydration team got informed at a similar time to what we did at Nova Wallet, which was the same time they announced it publicly. And it's, hey, you have a month, can you like do all this? And it outrageous in my opinion. Really a bad showing from what's left of the Moonbeam project's organizational team. I think it's bad for their users and bad for the ecosystem. Yeah.
But I think Everloot is still going on. I think they're a big game out of Moonbeam. So I think that's like one of the few projects still marching on. And I guess Stellar Swap has left a long time ago. But yeah, it kind of fucks up the wormhole thing, which has been like a huge thing for the ecosystem, because that was like one of the main ways of getting like external tokens like Stellar or Sui or stuff like that into the ecosystem, and then you XCM it from Moonbeam. So that's certainly a bad thing, but it's like,
I wonder what their priorities are, because clearly they're changing their use case, it seems, from their announcement. I mean, all I know is what is publicly announced, right? So now they're talking about decentralized AI agent communication and settlement network, built for the on-chain economy. But it's so broad, it's just so general, it's just so non-clear. But it's also so different to the original idea of Moonbeam. So I'm just wondering if they even care about that transition limo that you were talking about. Maybe it's just they're not even thinking about those consequences.
I don't think they are. But I have a question, because maybe the other two guests here might know the answer off the top of your head. Is Moonbeam, is it permissionless collates?
I'm not
or
sure.
is it permission collates?
It's permissionless, right? It's regular parachain.
So,
I would think so,
Collectors,
but
right?
I couldn't say 100%. We'd have to
so
check.
what if
Yeah.
you spin up collates and then buy a car and assign it to Moonbeam?
And can keep it going. Keep
Offline, then,
it.
is it?
Yeah.
It's not going to go offline, then, is it?
Yeah.
Just a
Fork
thought.
it. Force
Just a
fork
thought.
it.
Maybe we dabble in that. Maybe let's have a look.
just keep the chain going, like against their will. Is that
It's permissionless. Anything's
So,
possible. Hopefully it's permissionless.
I could probably speak to this a little bit because of the elephant in the room of my own personal involvement. So, like the last 2 years, I have been a part of a parachain team, Mandala, and I was there from the very beginning. And then late last year, they also, as a collective, decided to move to Ethereum. And so, like, obviously, there's no comparison between like Moonbeam and what Mandala was trying to be. Because obviously Moonbeam has been a hugely successful project. Like I think that their all-time high was like had bees in front of it. Yeah, so they hit $1 billion market cap at one point. Like
They were huge.
Like it was massive. It was like a massive like household name chain. So obviously no comparison. But just to share the story, like the reason why the team that I was involved with left the ecosystem was probably threefold, and I'll tell you why this is applicable in a minute. Because they decided, because there was like some ambiguity around the role that parachains would play in the ecosystem moving forward. And I will say this, the one thing that I think would be defensible for Moonbeam is that it did seem like their niche was kind of moved in on. They probably weren't really servicing that niche, but their niche was moved in on. So there was some ambiguity around the role that parachains would play. The second one was the VC mentality was all like I've been through this recently over the last couple of years where like VCs actively saying we'll invest in you if you leave Polkadot. Like, and that's real. Like that's real. That's been the mentality. And there's literally the only VCs that were interested in supporting the ecosystem were the ecosystem VCs. And even only one of the two of them even invested in our particular project. The other one passed on it. So like there's literally no money out there. No money for a Polkadot-based project. And then the third one was like the actual use case partners were putting a lot of pressure on. And this is in the Mandala, the use case partners were putting a lot of pressure on to leave Polkadot because they just didn't get it. They just wanted the hype of Ethereum specifically, I guess. And so like all of those things combined, the team that I was involved in was like the external pressure became unbearable, and then the uncertainty around the role of parachains, and the team decided to bounce. Now I'm still on that council at Mandala, but like it was a council decision to move. And obviously I'm a Polkadot fan. That's why we've been here for 4 months doing this still, even though that project that I was a part of left. But I wonder, the reason why I bring all this up, one, to address the elephant in the room before I go and talk about someone else's project leaving the ecosystem, and two, like I wonder if the team that stepped back and then with a new team coming in, they're probably not even Polkadot people. Like they're probably people who have just come in from and when you're not inside the Polkadot ecosystem, everything does seem so like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And so if you've got a bunch of new guys that have come in that have no allegiance to the ecosystem and they've just gone, boom, we're leaving. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate because again, like I feel like Moonbeam probably could have been anything. Really. But yeah, like I just wonder around like what was the straw that broke the camel's back there. Yeah, but it
feels
does
like
sound.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it
no. I was
feels
just
like
going to
it
say,
was
saddens
like
me.
a big change happening with at least the Moonbeam Foundation, which was like one of the entities that was funding a lot of development. Because I know Bagpipes that I used to work on, we were funded by the Moonbeam Foundation, and it felt like everything was very bullish until like a year and a half ago, where like most foundation members just like deleted their Telegram and they like stopped responding to everyone. So it was like a big momentum change there, and everyone is left. So I don't know what happened. Probably
That
says
would
in the Moonbeam forum somewhere.
well, that would probably just to me just seem like that maybe like money ran out, or like
Yeah,
or money was
maybe.
money was running out, and then all of a sudden people's love of the game was maybe not as strong as what it needed to be to keep driving it. Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
I know that like obviously around Jam and everything like that is still around selling cores. Like we talked about this last week that like the sale of cores is the primary use case for Jam. What do you reckon this looks like, guys, when really it's probably only hydration that's left from the original sort of mega chains that sort of came from the first original generation? Like, what does that look like now? We like where do these new customers come from? Where are these new people renting cores?
I
Who's
think
the
this is
target
like
market?
I said the other week, right? Like, I think generally right now the cryptosphere is like retracting. I think things that don't have obvious product market fit are just closing, right? It's not just Polkadot, it's everywhere. And the optimistic case is that with Jam and new types of projects being able to operate, that then has like a second order effect where then other like normal blockchain stuff becomes important for those services, right? Because again, we said this months ago, crypto's proven in terms of like self-sovereign assets, like moving across borders, stuff like that, DeFi, and then like money market stuff, whatever. And then it's like, and what else, right? So I believe that a lot of the new stuff like Web3 Summit, which I know we'll talk about in a minute, that's like we believe this, like some like human coordination toolkit, let's say, right? Like you can't shut this down. So the optimistic case is that there's new services on Jam that then have second order magnitude effects for parachains. Yeah, at least in my opinion.
If I was to take the sort of the optimistic view here, because that's what I am normally as a person, it's probably not a hugely problematic thing that Jam gets clear air, and that it is like clear air from new projects to be able to come and iterate on it, as opposed to like the legacy stuff that's still trying to find product market fit. It probably is an easier sell to be able to go and show, well, okay, if you had 10 or 15 parachains from the old days that were still struggling to get back to all-time high, but had occupied like a third of the space on Jam, I think a lot of Jam would then still be associated with those projects. And whether they were bullish, bearish, or indifferent to those projects would determine what they thought of Jam. But probably isn't a bad thing at all when you say, okay, well, who's built on Jam? And it's literally none of the old baggage of the old parachain teams. Like I think that's not a hugely negative thing for like the project moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the thing is, the whole point with Jam is to allow anything to run on it. As Limo was saying, it doesn't have to be specific to blockchain. I mean, blockchain is just, one of the use cases that you can have, but you can run any kind of services on Jam. So what will it look like? Ideally, exactly different to what the old parachains were. It could include some of them or something similar to what they were, or some of the ones that are left, like hydration, if they want to. But it can include anything else. I think Limo was saying last week, even, talking about other use cases like audio or video or games, or I think Flipchan was saying games last time. All of this is what is probably coming, right? Once it's ready.
Yeah, it's
What's
really broad
in
now.
Yeah,
exactly. So.
Well, it's not just a blockchain project anymore. It's like a whole new thing.
Yeah. Could be anything. Could be a torrent tracker or a radio station, or could be a lot of cool things.
Yep. Well, let's shift gears a little bit, because I think where we left off last week, it was like we were all pretty bullish on this whole idea of Jam KB and like talking about how we were going to try and accumulate to do some cool stuff. We've got some more information which has come out. I might actually just share screen because some of the talks from the Web3 Summit have actually just gone live. And shout out to a few of you guys who pointed this out. But this is actually really cool. So we've actually got a few talks from, I think day one is actually already come out. So I'm going to now probably spend my evening going through a lot of this because this is cool.
Some are really good. There on the stage, you see Yanis, who used to be like the former Ministry of Finance in Greece. He's very interesting. He has a lot of things to say, a lot of opinions, and he has a really broad spectrum of knowledge. And then next to him is Josh, who's some kind of socialist, pro revolution, pro blockchain dude that runs some kind of email list as well. And he had the talk which I thought was like very Berlin-ish, which was named like the K-hole of something, where he talked about like K-hole, very Berlinish. And then Amir Taki as well. But and then there was the Polkadot app talk as well with Birdo, I think, also got released. There's some good ones there. And
yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, we've been waiting for almost a month to listen to them. So I woke up this morning and the first thing I saw was like they have been released. So I started listening to Gav's talk first. I haven't finished it yet, but I really liked that he spoke in a very clear way, like in a very non-technical way, mostly about like the philosophy about how, Web3 is not an evolution of Web2, that it's mostly like from Web1, there are basically two forks, the Web2 and the Web3 world, and then just like speaking in clear words to people that are not necessarily technological, which I find very good, because sometimes or for me at least, when I listen to many of Gav's talks, it's like you have to listen to them several times to really understand everything that he's saying. And in this case, I think the main message is what needs to come across. And I think they succeeded with all the students that attended Web3 Summit. Flipch, and you can tell us more since you were actually there. But from what I can see, there were a lot of students in the audience and people from different backgrounds.
Yeah, that's true. They came from different universities especially in Germany, but also in Czech Republic and in the neighboring countries. They all drove with cars. There was a lot of student blockchain clubs. So that was big. The biggest talks with like the amount of people in the room were Gianni's talks and also Gav's talk. Everyone was basically there to see Gav's talk on the first day. Then it was packed in the room. Yeah.
Pretty cool. I know we've got like some actual product information which has come out as well. Florentina, you actually flagged this with me. Was like the .id v2 is live with usernames as well. So this is now this now can be used. How does people find this? How do they get involved here?
Yeah, so I mean, some people might already know .id as one of the registrars on Polkadot and Kusama. But the V2 just came out a few days ago, and yesterday the usernames were released. So you can just go on .id.app, and if you already have an on-chain identity set and with a judgment from a registrar, then you can claim a username, which is basically like a simple to read with like just normal words. So for example, like I claimed validandina.id. Right? So instead of me having to give you like the 48 characters of my address, of my Polkadot address or my Kusama address, then you can just eventually just say, you can just like, my address is validandina.id. So if you go on directory there, I understand, and then directory.
Where am I looking here?
Top.
Sorry.
Up on the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Nice.
here you can search by your address or by your name if you want, or if you scroll down a little bit, there's also a filter on the right where it says username.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there, if you see, there are two. There's the dot, which is the one that party has the authority for, and the .id, which is the one that .id has the authority for. So basically, those are the two authorities right now that have been approved by OpenGov to give usernames to Polkadot accounts for the case of dot, and for Polkadot and Kusama accounts for the case of .id. So even today, you can go on the app, so .id.app. You can connect your wallet, and then if you haven't set an identity, you just set an identity. It's super fast and super easy. You can put the fields that you want. If you want to set an email or a Twitter or a Discord or even PGP, you can also set an avatar if you want, but none of them are mandatory. So you set, as usual, your identity, and then you can just request a username, and then it will be approved on a first come first serve basis. And ideally, this will only be integrated with other things such as, for example, hopefully Nova Wallet or Talisman or other places. So you can just say like, okay, I need to send 5 dot to Michael. So then, okay, I'm not gonna be like, oh, Michael, what's your address? I'm just gonna know that if, for example, you claim Michael.id, then I can just send it to Michael.id.
So for those like previous on-chain identities, do they instantly upgrade here, or do you need to migrate and swap them?
No, they're
What do you
not
mean?
related. They're both on the
They're not-
people chain,
Ah.
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
There's two
So-
things.
Two
Yeah.
separate things. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then anyone can, if anyone creates a referendum on chain, they can create their own name. So you can have like .polkadot vibe check or something like that, and then you say
Oh,
only
nice.
people that I allow are allowed to get these usernames. So it's pretty cool, and it's all
Very
on
cool.
chain as well. So maybe
Yeah.
we'll get a lot of cool new registrars.
Interesting. All right. Well, this is going to be a cool one to go play around with. Limo, you have to get one of your many wallets and figure out how many you're gonna hook up here. There's a bit of a personal joke there because I was complaining to Limo about how I've got too many Polkadot accounts and I need too many iterations of Nova across, and I have 2 phones as well. So I'll have to go and figure out exactly what my primary, secondary, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 6th, 17th wallet is all going to be. But yeah, very cool. Cool flag, and
Yeah,
it's good to
and
see that more
I
features.
just want. Oh, sorry, I cut you. I'm so sorry. Just the last thing there, since you were showing the screen. If you click on, like in the search function, if you click on one of the profiles of the people who have requested the username, you have a public page now. So if you scroll down,
Like here?
okay, yeah, yes, but I need you to find one that actually has the .id username already. So either you can do the filter that has the username .id,
Okay.
and then just pick any. It can be Alice, for example. That's the example one. And then at the bottom, you see that it should say profile page or
View public profile?
yes, view public profile. That's the one.
Oh, very cool.
So you see it, and then you have basically also there's a URL that you can share with anyone, right? So it's like .id.app/ and then @alice.id. So it's like very easy, and then you can share this with anyone. Like you can know if this person has a judgment of reasonable or known good, if they have verified their KYC. You can find and copy their contact information easily. So it's kind of like also like a presentation card of yourself and of your identity on Polkadot or on Kusama,
Cool.
if you wish.
Super cool. Yeah, super cool. I love the graphics here. I think this is heaps
Yeah,
fun.
it's a really nice UI. Yeah.
Yeah,
very.
it's pretty cool. And the drawing, like kind of the ring around, it's different for each one. So it's kind of like created based on your address and some of the other fields that you set.
I've got to check that now. Hang on. I've got to check that now. I'm going to pull up somebody else's here. Well, that one's the same. But yeah, anyway, cool. Yeah, very cool. I'm going to play around with this a fair bit. Interesting. Okay, so we've got a few other things. So a couple of other, I guess, things. Dot staking was another big changer this week. I know I've spoken with two of you individually about this. Who wants to kick this one off? Go on, Limo.
I'll toss my hat in the ring. Okay, yeah. So I think all of the changes are done now, or the vast majority of them. So there's a few things that have happened over the past few months, right? So the first one, let's put it as validator requirements. So there's a minimum 10,000 dot stake requirement or self-stake requirement for validators. That then scales up to 30,000 dot for rewards, and then diminishes up to 100,000 dot hard cap for validators. That means they have to have skin in the game, because previously a lot of validator operators like CEXs, Binance, etc., didn't self-stake and stuff like that, which isn't good because they don't have skin in the game to actually perform well, because if they've got nothing to lose, what's the point, right? They also changed slashing. So now nominators or stakers cannot get slashed if the validators do something wrong. That self-stake that the validators put up is what gets slashed, right? Then recently, the unbonding time has changed to, is it 1 to 2 days, depending on the queue, but a 2-day maximum, right? So there is a little issue in Nova Wallet currently, right? So it is 2 days. The UI currently might say 28 days. It is being changed right now. Like, I'm reading the dev chat. They are changing it right now, so it should be changed today. So there was someone in your YouTube chat complaining about that. If you're using Nova Wallet, it's 2 days. Like, don't worry, it's not 28 days. Then there is a change to how the dot amount for validators and nominators works, right? So previously, before this hard cap on the issue, it was happening one way, let's say, to make it easy. Now that now it's changed, and there is an inflow of, I will get the exact numbers for you because I wrote this in a chat somewhere. So every day there is 153,132 new dot that is issued for this dynamic allocation pool system. Of that 153K, 45.2% of that, or 69,000 dot, goes to stakers, 22% to validators, and then like 33% as a buffer. So the way to figure out APR or staking returns, however you want to call it now, is that 69,000 dot that goes to stakers divided by the total amount that is staked, right? So now that that's been implemented, the current staking rate, because more dot got staked, is something along the lines of 3% as per my calculations, right? So we've gone from like 15% to like 5%, now it's 3%. But what you got to take into account is the amount of new dot, the inflation, has lowered significantly as well, like by a really drastic number. So roughly your proportional dot that you're getting compared to the inflation is like the same. Now, if the dot DAO, as Gav calls it, is not happy with that 3%, there is this buffer that goes to the treasury currently that's not really spending money at the moment. You can adjust those percentages. So that 33-ish% that's going to the buffer can just be reallocated, like 10% of that, or 33% of it, I guess, can be put into the stakers pot, which would increase the staking returns, right? But then as a dot holder, you've got to think, what happens if like people are just selling, blah, blah, blah. So we can do stuff. It's up to governance, right? But that's how the system works currently.
In theory, though, if 66% of the rewards are going out to stakers, was that the number? Or 69 or whatever it was?
So 45% going, which is 69,000 a day. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, 40 odd percent, and then you've got another 33. So even if you allocated all of that, it wouldn't even double the staking yield. So dot's rare. Like the worst it could possibly get there is probably 5 or 5 and a bit %.
But you can't have it all, and I think this is something that many people didn't understand with the refs, right? Do you want fast unbonding, or or do you want high APY? Do you want both? You can't have it all.
No, this is great. This is what I'm saying. Like it's the Treasury's got like funding coming into it, and it also means that like people, if you looked on the like comments on any ref previously, it was always like complaining about either like inflation or like how the selling from the Treasury was crushing everyone's gain. Like, so this is literally, you get what you ask for. And so, the dot inflation rate is super low. And even if it was dialed up to the max, it's still super low. Cool. All right. That's super cool. I love that, like, since all this stuff has like come to fruition now, and like this is stuff that we've been talking about for ages. There was, sorry, Limo, I don't know if you had anything else that you cover on there. Did I cut you off?
No, that's about it. It's also not people on this podcast's fault that the APY or the price is low. We're trying our best, Mr. YouTube commenter.
I
don't have the pseudo key for Polkadot, right?
Well, normally there are conspiracy theories that you do, and that Gavin works for you, Limo. But yeah. Normally I share the comments on our chat group, but our friend in the comment section, I'm sorry, but like, maybe next time. There was a staking miner incident last week though. Florentina, you probably got some more info on here. Do you want to give us the rundown?
Yes, absolutely. So basically, I'm not sure if everybody is familiar, but many people might know that the election of validators and nominators is done off-chain. And it's done via something that's called a staking miner. So let's just call it a computer that basically calculates a solution, the optimal solution, to distribute which ones are the validators that are going to be selected, with which nominators, with how much stake corresponding to each. So before each era, there is a staking miners submit a solution, and only one solution is selected, ideally the most optimal one. So right now there are 2 staking miners, the parity one and the one from echo.re, who is one of the former validators from the DN program, and also the guy behind .id, the platform that we just presented before. So with some of the changes that Limo just mentioned that happened, to finalize all of the staking and everything, one of the changes was to be able to chill some of the validators that were non-compliant with the minimum self-stake of 10,000 DOT. So the idea being that you want the whole active set of validators to be compliant with the minimum self-stake. So when that happened, it was permissionless. So many of us just started chilling some of the validators that were non-compliant. And then ideally, once that happened, for the next election, then the solution would be calculated among the other validators who were waiting, who were compliant, and replace those who were not compliant with those who were compliant. And what happened is that there was another parameter that was not adjusted at the same time. That was basically like the minimum amount of stake total selected. And because of that, then both miners basically got slashed because the solution that they submitted was not compliant with this minimum amount of stake that was expected. So they acted pretty fast, in my opinion, but that the consequences were that eras on Polkadot that normally last about 24 hours lasted a little bit over 3 days. But no rewards were lost. It was like calculated properly. It's just that during that one era, it was a little bit of a transition era where this new distribution, when it changed from validators having a minimum 10% commission to now all of them having a 0% commission, and the division of 85% to staking and 15% treasury changed to what Limo mentioned before, 45% now to stakers, 22% to the validator incentive, and 32% to the DApp buffer. Means that there's just one part there that was supposed to now be assigned right to the self-stake of the validators, but because the set was stuck with the previous validators, then it was not distributed to them. So I guess that's something that's pending to be done. At the same time, the slashed amounts from the staking miner from the community validator was there was a ref for it to reimburse from the treasury, because I mean it was not his fault that he got slashed. It was mostly like an oversight in the implementation of the changes of the protocol. But thanks to this incident, there are, I think, many things that are going to be improved now, which is the positive side, I guess. You know, rethinking if this minimum amount of stake of the calculation needs to be fixed or variable, if there should be more staking miners, for example, and not just, you know, the one of parity. Before it was just the one of parity, and since a couple of months ago, there's also the one from eco.re. But maybe there should be more. That's another question. So yeah, I guess that was the incident. I hope I was not too technical.
No. I'm glad that we've got you here, because it's like you actually know what's going on here. So yeah, thank you for explaining. And I think that's the main thing as well, is like things get iterated on through like trial and error, and that's how you get a more consistent system. So cool that it got figured out. And you're right, like it kicked on probably a little bit longer than normal, but still got sorted and really doesn't have any lasting damage. So yeah, good that we got to the bottom of it. I have another thing here. Flipchan has shared this one with me. There's actually a new ref that's just gone out, which is quite interesting. So I might just actually have a little look here.
Super fresh, 5 hours ago.
Yeah. Boom. Run us through it, Flipchan.
So this is pretty bullish for Holar. I don't know if people have been following, but Holar, like the hydration stablecoin, is pretty nice. Ecosystem stablecoin. It now becomes what's called a sufficient asset, which means that basically it's a mature asset, which gives it a bit of more power than a normal asset on Asset Hub. So if you hold, like, if you give someone an address and you send someone an asset that's not sufficient, and you don't have DOT on Asset Hub, like that account will be automatically slashed, or it will be marked as like a dust account, and it will automatically be removed. But now I think you can pay transaction fees in sufficient assets, so you can just generate a wallet and then tell someone send Holar, and then I think pay transaction fees in Holar as well. I think maybe, but yeah, it's pretty big.
Pretty bullish hydration.
Yeah, that's great for Holar. I saw that the fellowship, the technical fellowship from Polkadot is now going to be paid in Holar. So I'm guessing this is also one of the reasons why they put up this ref instead of USDT, I believe it used to be before.
Does this mean that the whole PUSD project has been shelved, or is this still a thing?
I think it's still
pretty
a thing.
Sure it's still a thing.
Still a thing.
It's different teams.
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, I don't know what's public, but there's a few people working on it apparently. I think they're just trying to make sure like the economics of how it works is sound, right? There's obviously been stable coins in the past that have not gone so well. There's ones like, I mean, Holar is based off of, forgetting the name. What's the name of?
I know
it's so that's kind of proven on Aave. You know, it's pretty good, but yeah, I wonder what the mechanisms they're going to come up with for PUSD will be. It'll be interesting.
Because the original one was going to be off of Akala's model, wasn't it? And that was kind of like people weren't loving that, obviously because of what happened.
Yeah, AUSD. You got to
yeah, the baggage.
Yeah, $1 million shit show there.
There's, as far as I know, the people that are working on it, they're aware of like some of the potential issues, right? And I've raised it with a few people. Like one of the like obvious ones is if we're going to use PUSD for like paying validators, etc., then how do we mint that? There's the protocol that can issue DOT to itself. Does that over-collateralize loans to get the stablecoin to then pay them? Then, for example, what happens if the price of DOT goes below the liquidation threshold? If it's a sufficient amount, like after a few years, let's say, who's the buyer of last resort, right? Who's going to be buying that those liquidated assets. So I think they're aware of like that plus a bunch of other stuff, which is why it's taken a while, because they want to make sure it's economically sound, right?
Yep. Interesting. Yeah, I know that was always the big thing as well, like on like platforms like Aave, is getting assets that are actually like liquid and that can be purchased when they need to be fire sold, that were collateral. Because wasn't that the issue that happened with the Sesame now? It wasn't Wormhole. What was the other bridge that had the minting problem and they minted too many tokens that had been approved for like approved collateral asset on Aave? It was not, it was layer 0. It was one of the layer 0 nodes. And so a collateral asset that had already been approved on Aave only had one node or something like that actually like minted the asset. And so someone was able to hack the node, mint heaps of the asset, and then dump the token. And so like there's just more blast area with some of this stuff and especially a stable coin, and then especially inside money markets. So yeah, the blast area expands.
One it that they got it approved as collateral, and then how they got the price was like an XYK pool. Because I did this on Hydration. At one point, I broke the UI because I just made 2 meme coins and then put like 0.00001 of the meme coin against like loads of DOT, and it ended up being like a market cap of like $2 quadrillion. And so it made the UI crash out at one point. So I think now to get on that UI, you have to have a certain amount of liquidity in DOT or USD. But they basically did that, and then went like, okay, this is worth $1 gazillion. I can just like use this as collateral and like rug.
Hang on, that's awesome. So you got like a fraction of a meme coin, and you paired it against like a lot of DOT. So the meme coin was like super valuable.
You do it twice and then pair all of the meme coin against all the meme coin. Obviously, I couldn't rug anyone because I just had all the tokens. It wasn't collateral, right? But it was just like free XYK pools. But yeah, it made the UI of like the total value in Hydration like crash basically for like a bit, and then they fixed it like immediately. Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's crack up. Oh, cool. There's a bit happening. I think Florentina, you said it to me. It's like Polkadot is alive. So super cool. Anything else that we've missed throughout the week? I'm going to spend my week playing around with .IDs and watching some Web3 Summit talks, but anything that we've missed for this week?
I think we have plenty for now. Yeah, it's starting to become alive again, and things are starting to happen again. I think now that after the Web3 Summit, also there's more of a focus on like why are we here, right? Like what is the purpose of all of this, and the idea. And I don't know if this message came across from Web3 Summit, or maybe now that the talks are out, it will be more clear to those of us who were not at the Web3 Summit. But the idea is for people to start participating and start building, on their own. Like, yes, Party has created some of the building blocks, let's call it. But now it's time for people to start doing whatever they want to do and just like contribute. Stop waiting. Like, I don't know why some people are saying, oh, yeah, we just have to wait for Party to release their products. No, nobody has to wait for anything, Like, you can build your own stuff if you want. And you have some really, really cool tools to start doing it already, public. On GitHub since a while ago, and every day they're still working on it. If you follow the repos, you can see, or you can even do easier, like Limo does. Just ask your AI to do a summary for you. You don't even have to go and go through the repos yourself if you don't want to. But there's just so much, and you don't have to be technical anymore to understand any of this with the tools that we have today.
Yeah, it's a different world. Hey, I remember 18 and 19 era, like trying to get a dev to do something, because again, not technical. So trying to get a dev to do something, it was like you needed hen's teeth to be able to pay for them, because devs were the wizards, like wizards of the internet.
$25,000 upload a smart contract.
Yeah. Ching. Can you create an ERC20 token for me? Yeah, 15 grand, thank you. Like now there's websites that do it for you. Like, it's wild. Yeah. All right. Well, good check-in, everybody. I think vibes are good. I think I'm going to give the vibes like 5 out of 5 this week. So, yeah, super exciting. share this one around. If you haven't followed along already, give us a subscribe and a follow, and we'll start trying to see if we can like bring in some more people into the community. Florentine, you're always welcome to join, so thank you for coming. And like I said, we can have up to 10 people on this call, like before I've got to upgrade my subscription. So like, yeah, let's max it out. And I would love to hear about people who are building stuff that just want a sounding board to be able to come and talk about it with other people. It would be great to have you. So have fun, everybody, and we'll see you all again same time, same place next week.
Thank you for hosting.
Bye.